So we got some news regarding the new PlayStation patents. Now, these PlayStation patents come from time to time. Just because patents happen doesn't mean that they're going to go into full effect into the PlayStation console. So oftentimes Sony throws out a patent and gets leaked, and then people start talking about it. But this one was really interesting. I actually wanted to talk about it actually for the last 2 nights, but I never got a chance to. But now is my chance, and that is that PlayStation's patent technology could completely change the way we see open world games, the way we experience them. And what I mean by that, I'll get into in a second. But first, before I do so, I want you guys to go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and click on bell notifications so you don't miss anything. We're going to be primarily talking about Spider-Man technology, for the PlayStation, if that makes any sense. You know how we see the open world, because New York is a massive city. We're going to be really focusing on a lot of the interior designs as far as these buildings go, because as good as this game looks, and you just cannot help but think that, man, these buildings are just basically hollow husks. Like, we don't see anything besides when we, like, let's say, land on the side of the building and we're looking in the interior through the windows. At least that detail in itself is pretty impressive. But wouldn't it be cool to go into every single individual building within New York City? And New York City is a massive, open sandbox. And to be able to have that amount of detail can take a ton of work. Like a lot of work. It can take years before a Spider-Man game can come out where we are able to access every single building in the city and just look at the interior. And one of the things that really caught my eye is about how Sony kind of breaks it down, or this patent is breaking down this idea where a lot of the interior is automatically generated, like depending on the exterior of the building. So like the developers don't have to go into every single interior of every building in the city and design it from the ground up, which can take a lot of work. So let's go ahead and read this article that I got from gamingbible.co.uk. I want to thank Evan Falarka in advance. For this article, the link to that is in the description of his video that he talked about actually about roughly 2 nights ago. So recently discovered patent filed by Sony Interactive Entertainment suggests that the company is currently working on technology that completely changes the way we interact with open world games. As discovered by Gaming Route, Sony appears to have filed a patent for AI-generated internal environments. The patent was last filed last year and published just last month. But what exactly is it? So I'm about to get a bit wordy here. And if you get lost, don't worry. I mean, I got a little bit lost here, but it kind of just dumbs it down a little bit in the following paragraph after I talk about this. So according to the patent's description, Sony has developed a method of using a trained machine learning model to infer interior data for the physical objects based on the exterior data. It also mentions interior data describing inferred internal structures of the physical objects and generating the virtual environment using the exterior data and interior data. If that description left you scratching your head, which honestly it kind of did a little bit, you're far from alone. What it sounds like is that Sony has developed a method of generating building interiors based on their exteriors. Now, with this description alone, I do have a couple of questions that I want to ask after I'm done talking about this article here. So as you can see from the patent image down below, and I'm actually going to pull up the image now because right now what you were seeing is actually my gameplay of Spider-Man PS5 remastered. It looks like as if the method will be scanning the information from a building's exterior to generate a fully realized interior. So no doubt that this method will have any other handy uses in terms of landscape generation and building open worlds. But the idea of an AI that generates entire building interiors could have massive implications for explorations in video games. So you take a game like Marvel Spider-Man, for example, the perfect game to talk about this. New York City is absolutely massive. We can all agree on that, right? So which is why you've probably noticed that when you peer through the city's many windows, there are typically 4 or 5 interiors recycled over and over again. And developing a unique interior for every building would take a crap ton of work, which I've already discussed before, and that's really true. I mean, you couldn't imagine like all the developers. I think you would need at least 1 developer per building in New York City if they're going to develop the interiors for every single building in the city, because that'll take so much work. So having an AI auto-generate an interior based on the exterior of a building is actually a brilliant idea. Now, the only question that I probably have for this for now, because I couldn't think of any other one, is that will it be consistent? And to elaborate a little bit more on that is that if we, let's say, land on a building and we see the interior of that building, and then perhaps we come later on in the game, or we restart the game and we come back to that same exact building, will the interior that's generated be the same as last time, or will it just auto generate a brand new interior? So I'm just wondering if like some of the implications would be like the consistency, like if that would cause a problem. Because I wouldn't want to go to the same exact building and then have a different interior every single time. Like, I get it, you know, developing a video game within itself, like itself, is really difficult. It's not an easy task. I can only imagine, you know, developing a video game and building interiors and getting all that level of detail for the interiors of buildings must be like a daunting task. But I just want to know if it's going to cause any consistency issues. So that's pretty much what I really wanted to talk about. And it's really exciting at the same time. We're really moving up in the gaming world as far as like, you know, graphics, interior design, open world landscapes and all that stuff. We're really coming really far. We're just not there yet. We're kind of like almost at the peak. I wouldn't say we're at the peak of gaming, but we're just almost there. And this patent suggests that Sony is working on a method that would eliminate the main heft of the work, with the AI procedurally generating interiors based on the shape, size, and structure of each building. So the reason we rarely see open world games with a ton of explorable interiors is that they take time and effort to design. So this could be a huge step forward for that particular hurdle. As always, a filed patent doesn't always mean a company's moving forward with it. Hopefully Sony does develop this idea through it. Could genuinely be the next big leap in forward for truly immersive open world games. So basically look out for that, because I think gaming is going to change moving forward. And I think PlayStation 5 is the perfect console to start on that idea. Having an AI auto-generate interior spaces, and the PS5 is powerful enough to do so. So if you have any powerful, highly capable computers that have a lot of, like, let's say memory and, you know, storage and a powerful GPU and whatnot, PlayStation 5 is the perfect console to start. Perhaps the previous generation couldn't handle something like that, such a huge, daunting task like that. But I think the PS5 is perfect to start. And what better way to start it than like Marvel's Spider-Man 2? So with Marvel Spider-Man 2, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot of enhancements besides like combat swinging and whatnot. I want this game to feel more immersive. And a good way for that to happen, to achieve such a feat, would be like to have the buildings with different interiors, and also have the buildings be accessible by going inside them. You know, like talking about this reminds me of old gameplay from like Spider-Man 2 from the movie. You know, like those movies have video games. Each movie has a video game, and they were really fun. Spider-Man 2 being my favorite because that, you know, I'm going off a tangent here, but that game allowed you to swing like Spider-Man, and they've really achieved something, you know. But I think this is just the next step in making a game even more immersive by allowing you to explore the buildings, basically the interiors of a lot of buildings in New York City, as if you were actually there. So you let me know your thoughts. That's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to talk to you guys about. What do you think about this new patent? Do you think Sony's going to really move forward with it? Do you think Sony's just going to keep it to themselves and not really apply it to the sequel? You let me know your thoughts. You let me know what you want to see in Marvel Spider-Man 2 moving forward, what kind of enhancements you want to see. If you don't want to talk about the buildings, of course, you know, accessing all buildings, and you want to talk about perhaps what characters you like to see in Marvel Spider-Man 2 and what kind of stories and theories you want to come up with, you comment that down below as well and let me know. With all that being said, guys, that's all for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on bell notifications so you all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.